Benito, Bennett, Venancio, the real Tepiro chest, and a lot more nicknames than Del. He's got this amazing character. Of the top 10 Genshin Impact teams are 7, except only New Billet. That doesn't go with attack, Moalani, that doesn't go with attack, and the Hyper Bloom teams that does. Tepiros are incredibly powerful, but if we talk about a little investment, they are very well, but they have been a little more limited compared to the rest of the teams on. All since the arrival of Mavuika, Shilonen, and Seitel, and NATLAN's power clip. And far behind was Bennett's debate on whether or not the cheeks would go up, whether or not it would work or not. It doesn't work as a carry or as a living or healing bonus. But the big debate with Bennett today is... Bennett is a problem for Genshin Impact. Leave a good like, a good Bennett ultimately subscribe, leave a good comment too. Thanks for enjoying and watching the video and channel. Thanks for all the love and support. Remember that it doesn't cost you anything, it is free. Recommend and positions the video helps a lot. Something that for you is literally nothing, a second of your time. And that's why you're already in the daily draw on the Lunar Blessing channel for everything. Which is subscribed with bell, like and comment for the algorithm that is not written with artificial intelligence. Comments are not worth these pocos or people spamming their IDs roll. Hello, I comment 2 points. I'd give me a blessing. That's not worth it. It's got to be a little bit of a drain. So gentlemen, if you're eating, and it's very rich, welcome. And invited to the directs that also draw everyday things for which you are poor after a week and study data. And we're going with Bennett is a big problem for Genshin Impact. It's not going to be missing in this video, of course, the fact that we're talking about the possibility of a Bennett. Of 5 stars and their possible connection to Exvalank, that we already have videos in the Kaiser. That apart from the story, making it is already the design as such of a great character, and that the animations have been well worked, but Bennett's subject is a serious one. Bennett, as I said at the beginning of the video, is not only in 7 of the top 10 teams, but is literally in 11 of the top 15 teams in the game, being the 4 most used and repeated stars. And that after Xiangling's power creep with Mavuika, where almost on all teams. Some very punctual like Riothesly, like the Nationals or the Raiden National, if we are not talking about investment and some other specific example. Today the best in slot of many teams is Mavuika, and not Xiangling, and the same with Shink, who at the time on some teams was, but today. If we want more than 1 Hydro as Tau Double Hydro, we play Furina plus Yellen. With it, Shink is very powerful but does not appear in the best in slot. And horrific mention, because the 2 stars that most repeat themselves in the best. Genshin Impact teams are kooky at the Hyper Blooms and Amin on their own team. and Shink. Bennett, unlike these that appear literally on 1 team each in Shinkyu. Bennett, as I say, nothing more and nothing less than appears in 11 of the top 15. And this makes it today the 4 most powerful stars in history. Besides, I think you all remember that for so many versions it's been trying to nerf here. Bennett and basically always tried to attack Bennett's own figure in the Zens of new enemies or new mechanics coming out that were totally in against what Bennett brings. Examples of this when they came out in Nkamila just in Inazuma. Speaking of the 2nd year. Genshin, Dredgas and bosses with a hitbox twice as big as all enemies that we had so far. What was happening and caused you to move out from Bennett's ulti area, and this would make you not snapshot with a lot of characters, that you stop healing or that you lose the attack Bufo. Later in Zumeru, apart from many other enemies, the sacrosanct beasts appeared. That Hydros, the crocodile, also vaporizes you inside Bennett's ulti and devour. Electro, the scorpion that I think you all have memories of Vietnam, overloads you. inside Bennett's ulti. Not only does he send you out, but he practically hits you, because he's got a lot of damage and a lot of mastery. Later on in Fontaine, if it was not clear the direct attack on Bennett and the Nerfius, it was Fontaine, literally the nation where most attempts were made to nerfy Bennett before NATLAN, not just taking out characters that work alive and not with attack like Fiorina and Neuvillette, but also bringing out enemies like, for example, the Mimetic Hydrotulp, the boss that one-shots you. If it vaporizes you inside Bennett's ulti, taking out the animals, these are like slimes, with steroids that I never remember what they're called, but that still vaporize you, that are also transformed in the midst of combat and many more enemies than literally. They did it to harm Bennett, and not only that, but Fontaine's main mechanics that, as losing and earning a living, Bennett has a limit of heating to 70% of life, where from there it doesn't cure you, with which it totally cuts off the heating source, having little synergy with the whole thing of losing and earning life that carries a Fontaine, apart from Neuvillette who goes alive, and Fontaine's set, and finally, like Bennett's heating isn't to the whole team like others characters. Fiorina does not activate well with the heating that Bennett has to activate the loads. The Fiorina, with what Fiorina herself, has better synergy with healers that heal a lot, like Xian, Yun, like Jin, like Charlotte, like Baiju, like Chi-Chi. Even Chi-Chi activates very well the loads of Fiorina, but not so much with Bennett, and later as last attempt at Fontaine to nerf her too. Vital Covenant, which is that the character in field cannot be cured with what cannot accumulate. Fiorina loads with what makes you half uncomfortable, for example. Try to play Arlecchino's team. Fiorina, Katsua, Bennett, and only in the first rotation you have incredible damage, and from. Why? Because Bennett doesn't cure Arlecchino. Arlecchino is really cured, alone, and in what you actually throw the rotation, the only character that benefits from healing. Bennett is Kazuha, who enters a few seconds after Bennett, and then Arlecchino would enter. But you can't cure it except with your ulti, and sometimes it's worth trying to survive and not throw his ulti to accumulate more Vital Pact for the second rotation. Wow. Tremendous attack too. Bennett right until he got to NATLAN. Problem. Well, the following happens. Hoyoverse, as always explained in other videos, has been very systematic and repetitive when it comes to making techniques and strategies that work well for. Improve both your sales, mainly, as I understand it, to sell more in some case. Must also worry about gameplay and players. Epoila. In reward themes, they never worry, but the reality is that in combat they do care. And if they try to do they. Now here comes a very important news point, and so is Genshin's fight. I'll talk about X-Valanque, but also Captain, and the video, as you see, gets better and better. The last time, Hoyoverse used a very concrete account verified in Hoyola to Do. Some surveys show that these surveys resulted in improvements for players, and post today already give us enough signs like Itaro picks up around here on a tweet that I will be putting on screen, asked us certain things which were then fulfilled, and especially we were asked if we'd like a 5-star free for the anniversary thing. That we didn't know, and in fact that account that's called a Messenger of Favonius, if I remember correctly, made quite a bit of noise in the community a few days before the 5 live stream came out, and then you got it right on the subject of giving us a 5-star gift. Why do I explain this? They've done a survey that Fatui is the community's most beloved, of course the survey. It's Captain, and this doesn't just give hope that Captain's playable, maybe it may not. The same thing happened with Arlecchino throughout the region of Fontaine. The marketing of Hoyoverse was to say that it was not going to be playable Arlecchino until the same user messenger of Favonius Ineus. Hoyola did a poll where people voted Arlecchino, and in 4.6 Arlecchino came out playable. And he's one of the characters until before Mavuika who had the sales record for the whole Genshin. Impact then, well, not only Captain is playable, but the introduction marketing numbers. The data, the theme of the work character, design, the animations, the combat, and everything that there is in the cinematic of X-Valanque, I repeat, if you have not made him, go to see him in doing the mission. Mavuika's principle is literally a level of production at the height of a playable character, and not only that, but today if you want to sell the character's reruns more, return to NATLAN if they get out like all the NATLAN characters who have synergy among themselves, like Mavuika with the noctambulism points of his team, etc. A Bennett that benefits. Well, off the field, maybe you can play it. I don't know, but make it better for Kinish to get better at it. Mavuika, that better teams of Sitlal and Shilonen, is Valank that are cores that can take advantage of it. Players 2 Bennett is going to be literally the same as I explained about Siangling 5 stars with N. Mavuika is going to be a guaranteed sales record, so if this account in the near future brings some kind of survey related to this character, that in my opinion the design is pretty well, and if you haven't noticed, it's Genshin Impact's first shot as a character. Playable so far, we've had Lolis, Diona, Chi-Chi, Sayu, Stokely, but we had not had a small, stubborn male boy as if he were a funk pop. If you look at him as the first shot of Genshin Impact, the first of the story, would be very rare if it was not playable little more. Bennett can be a problem. Bennett is the anti-room of a power creep greater even in the whole goal, combined with the new endgame modes that come little more to have very good day. Thank you so much for supporting and exploiting the video. I don't know, there are many minutes you take advantage of. You're eating! I forgot to say it at first, and a little more Chaito.